Hi there, welcome back. This is Jen with Unchained Crochet. This is a tutorial on the corner to corner stitch. Basically how to do anything from a washcloth clear up to a blanket, any size that you want, whether it be square or rectangle. Today for this sample I'm using Yarn Bee Sugar Wheel. It's 100% acrylic and it is in the colorway Cinnamon You There. So it's got some rust, goes to like a gold to a more puce color, to turquoise to blue. So I've pulled a lot of the middle out already. It started with the rust, so that's where we're starting. I've got 2 of these, so it's going to be a baby boy blanket. For today's sample, I'm just going to stitch a smaller size just so you can get the basics of it, and explain to you how you could then make a rectangle shape if that's what you desire to do, versus a square. So I look at these blocks, and we're going to use a K hook. I like the Bates K. I look at these blocks as units. You can call them squares, units, whatever you want. It basically consists of a chain up, and then 3 double crochet next to that to make 1 block. So to get started, we're going to make our slip knot. Sorry for any little shadow. I've changed, the desk is now in my bedroom, so my lighting is a little bit different setup behind me. So we've got our slip knot. Now we're going to chain. I chain 5. You can chain 6 if you like. 3, 4, 5. I like 5. I don't like the chain 3 start. I like chain 2 for my double crochet. That counts as your first double. So if you want to do 6, you can. If you do 6, you're going to go into the 4th chain from the hook. In this instance, with chaining 5, we're going to go into the 3rd chain from the hook. So it's all your preference if you like the height of chain 2 versus chain 3. We're going to do a double crochet in that 3rd chain from the hook, double crochet in the next 2. Now, it looks a bit rectangle, but as you add more blocks, we're going to be building from this one. We're going to be adding evenly to both sides. So this will be the corner of your blanket right here. That will be your corner block right here. So now we're going to chain 5 again, or 6 if you want to do 6. 2, 3, 4, 5. Go into your 3rd chain from the hook. Do your double. Do another double. And then your next free chain right here. Now, you're going to slip stitch to right here in this little opening where your beginning chain was at for that block. Slip stitch to that to anchor it. And we're going to then build a block above that block. So we've done one to the left. Now we're going to build one above it. Chain 2, 3 if you prefer. And now we're going to 3 double into that same space. Now we're going to chain 5 again. 2, 3, 4, 5. And you're turning your work each time. I just let that hang. You're going to see where you need to go when you get to the block. Go into the 3rd chain from the hook and double crochet. I prefer the chaining 2. My daughter and I both do the chain 2 or chain 5 to start the block, just because it tends to keep the fabric not so loose. And we're going to slip stitch to that chain right there on the previous block to anchor it. So you can see we're starting to form a triangle shape. So now we're going to do a block above it. 1, 2. Now we're going to do 3 double crochet into that same space. And now we're going to slip stitch to the block that's just next to it right there. So now I may be saying left and right. I'm a lefty, so don't get confused. I'll have a video labeled left-handed and one labeled right-handed. Just look at what I'm doing. 1, 2. Now 3 double into that space. 2 and 3. So that was the end of our third row. We've got, each time you're adding one more block. We've got 1 block there at the beginning corner, 2 here, and now we've got 3 in the third row. So the fourth row is going to have what? 4. You guessed it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chains. We're going to double crochet into the third chain from the hook. See how you kind of, sometimes you got to turn it if it's hanging loose and get it to lay back the way you need it to go, reorient it. So we've slip stitched to that chain right there. Now we're going to chain 2. And now we're going to 3 double into that same space. Now we're going to slip stitch again. Chain 2, 3 double in the same space. Each unit is the same, essentially, until you get to doing the decreases. What changes is when you decide you've reached an edge, that you've got the width that you want of your project, and you decide you want to make one edge straight. You may keep wanting to make it rectangle, so we'll talk about that here in just a minute. Okay, so right now, let's just pretend this was a full-size blanket. If it was a baby blanket, I essentially take my first sugar wheel, and when I'm almost out of yarn, that's when I'll stop growing the blanket. And then I will start with my decreases on each side, from each corner decreasing, until we get to the end unit, the end block. So that's if you want a square. You're just going to keep increasing evenly on both edges and then decrease whenever you're ready to start your decreasing. Now, if you want to make a taller, say like you want to make a strip or a scarf, you can keep going here. Say this is as wide as I want my scarf. So you wouldn't add any more here to your width. You would then start decreasing just on this edge and keep increasing on the other edge. So it's going to go like this on up the scarf. You know, that angle. You know, maintain that angle. And it'll keep climbing up. And then when you finally get the tallest end, which would be this side if you're making a scarf, when you finally get there and it's as long as you want your scarf, then you're going to start decreasing. So then it would form your last corner. All right, so for this purpose here, we're not going to go with the rectangle. I'm just going to show you how to start decreasing, and we're just going to make a little square, which I'm going to undo half of later and finish this as a blanket. So we're going to pretend this is as wide as we want our blanket. And it is a square blanket. All right, chain 1. We're going to start our decreasing. You can go into every stitch if you want, but you want to chain 1 and slip stitch into the top of those double crochets of the last square you just made. Now, you can slip stitch into this chain here of that square, but I prefer to chain 2 or 3 No, this is the funny part. On the edges here, when I'm decreasing and I'm climbing up, I like to do 3 chains right there. I don't like to do it through the body of the blanket, but it's up to you if you want to do 2 or 3. I like to make sure that that's not too tight of an edge. We don't want it to lay funny, so it doesn't really make a huge difference, but that's just my preference. So we're going to start off with another square. Once we slip stitch up the side of that first unit and you've chained your beginning chain, then start and make another block with your 3 doubles in that chain space. So now we're going to slip stitch, chain 2, 3 double crochet in that same chain space. Same thing here, slip stitch, chain 2, 3 double crochet. Now, remember, we've gotten it the width that we wanted. So right here, what we're going to do is just simply slip stitch into that last block, because this is as wide as we wanted the blanket right there. So now we're going to chain 1, turn, and we're going to do the same thing we did on the other side right here. We're going to slip stitch up the side, which would be the top of those double crochets. Make your beginning chain, 3 double crochet, in the same space. Slip stitch, chain, 3 double crochet. Now we've made it to our straight edge here. All we want to do is slip stitch to that chain, chain 1, and turn. Now you're going to slip stitch in each of those double crochets. We're just simply climbing up the side to our next level. Now we've reached the last. This would be the corner of your blanket. So you're decreasing at the same rate that you are increasing. Each time you do a decrease row, you're decreasing your blocks by 1 on each row. So we've reached the very corner of the blanket, and you're basically going to do 1 more block, your chain 2, and your 3 double crochet. Sorry for the extra noise, my husband just came in. So we've made our last block. We're going to slip stitch to this last chain right there, and then you chain 1 and draw up a loop. So your blanket would be done. We've got a little coaster here. Isn't it cute? I love the texture of this. You can't see the color changes so well, but and it does take shape as you wash it and with use. But that's basically it right there. Looks a little pointy here. Sometimes, especially like right there on the very edge, you might want to just skip that first double crochet and slip stitch into the next one if you don't like that little tip it gives you. But you can stretch it out and it'll be alright. You can always work it into shape. These look great in all the color changing yarns that we have out now. It's awesome. We have such a nice selection of yarn out there. So I hope this was helpful. Please comment below if you have any questions, and I will try to answer you as soon as I can. Thanks. Have a good one.